Hello everybody, Calamity here, and today's video is going to be about the event weapon that you can grab in the flagship event that's happening right now. You got 15 days to grab it right now, so how to get it real fast, just in case you don't know, this event is all about just playing a bunch of small mini games. They're all easy to beat and stuff, and every time you complete a level, you'll get a stamp. So you want to click that bottom left button right here, the stamp collector's gift, and for every 3 stamps you collect, you'll get the weapon, and then you'll get the subsequent refinement material. So all you have to do is just play the games, you get stamps, and then you get your fully refined weapon. Now, obviously, I haven't done all 15 stamps yet because they're not out yet. At the time of recording, this is only the second day of the event, so only 6 stamps are available as of right now. And then this is the weapon that's available to you in the event. It's called the TAMAYURATEI no OHANASHI. I don't know if I said that right, so I'm just gonna call it the Thomas Spear for the rest of this video because I don't want to ruin the name any more than I just did. So it has a substat of energy recharge. It gives about 30.6%. This is at level 90, and it has a base attack of 565. So just to compare with a similar-ish weapon is the catch that you got from fishing. It has a slightly lower attack. It has 510 and it has 45.9% energy recharge. So this one gives a bit less for a bit more attack. Next up is the weapon's ability, which is fairly simple this time around. It's called the Busybody's Running Light. All you gotta do is pop your elemental skill and you'll get an increase of 25%. This is at refinement 2. So at refinement 5, this should be attack increased by 40%, which is a good chunk, to be honest. And you'll get a set movement speed bonus of 10% for 10 seconds. So that's a very basic weapon. This is actually a really good weapon overall for a lot of characters, and just if you're starting out or just, you know, a free-to-play player, very solid weapon to have. So not bad at all from Hoyoverse this time around. But let's talk about which characters can take advantage of this weapon the most, at least in my opinion. Xiangling acquires yet another pole arm that is actually pretty good for her. Because she is a character that needs a ton of energy recharge, with this, which is what this weapon provides. She's still gonna need a bit more though, but this makes it so that you can rely on just getting energy recharge as a substat. Like some people will say, like, oh, you need the main stat on your sands to be energy recharge, but I think if you have a weapon like this, it helps, you know, make it a little bit easier to reach a good energy recharge number for consistent burst uptime. So I think if you have this, attack stance is a viable option if you so choose. Now, not much to say. Just remember to pop Guoba before you pop Pyronado so that you can get the 40% attack boost to your burst. Next up, we have Raiden Shogun herself, who's unfortunately not even getting a rerun this patch. But the reason it's good for her is because, just for those that don't know, energy recharge is an offensive stat for her. She converts energy recharge into electro damage, and it makes it so that it's a good offensive stat. So getting energy recharge in this case is more damage, and of course you always want to pop her skill right before you do her burst, so she's going to get a nice 40% attack boost from this weapon's effect. And it's actually a nice synergy because the 10 seconds is about as long as you'll be in her burst form. So you pop the skill, pop burst, do your thing, and then there you go. You'll have a nice 40% attack boosted burst for Raiden Shogun. Alright, next up are some characters that I don't own, so I'm over here in the character archive, but the other character that can use this is Emilie. The energy recharge is good enough. Like, Emilie isn't a character that needs a lot of energy recharge, say, compared to like Xiangling or Raiden Shogun. But having a bit is always nice, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Like, she's not a character that has to burst every rotation, depending on your team, of course, and if you have other teammates with like Favonius weapons and stuff like that. But it's a solid choice overall, and again, you just pop her skill and then go for the burst for some increased damage overall. Another character we should mention is Chevreuse. She's a character that's going to appreciate that energy recharge substat because you always want that burst up. And the attack boost isn't entirely wasted on her either. She can do a decent amount of burst damage, well, with her burst. And it's not a bad option overall, but I will say that the Favonius Lance is probably still going to be her best support weapon overall. To be fair, that weapon is just insanely good. But for those of you that do want a little bit more oomph in your Chevreuse's kit, wouldn't be a bad option to consider. And last but certainly not least, our favorite jokester, Cyno, being yet another valid candidate for this weapon, because we definitely want to have his burst up all the time. That's where like all of his damage comes from. So definitely a good option for him. It's going to be better for the Aggravate Cyno teams though over the Quick Bloom, Hyper Bloom Cyno teams, obviously, because Hyper Bloom and Quick Bloom only care about your elemental mastery, whereas Aggravate can take into account your attack percentage, so the buff there won't be wasted. So for those of you that build Aggravate Cyno, even though it's not his most popular team comp, I feel like Quick Bloom, Hyper Bloom is easier to build, so more people go for that. But for those that do, it's not a bad option to consider, especially if you don't have his signature weapon or any other 4-star options available to you. There's one character I wanted to mention, but after reading it over, I feel like this weapon is actually not going to be good for Shenhe because of the way it's worded. So if we go back to the weapon and we look at the Tama Spear, we can see it says, when you use your elemental skill, that's when you get the attack buff, right? So normally, you know, Shenhe has a support that wants as much attack as possible, so this sounds pretty good, right? Problem is her elemental skill calculates, I believe it's going to calculate your attack, you know, before you get the buff from the weapon. So the extra 40% attack you're getting will not be factored in to your bonus, to the skills bonus that from the buff that you're giving to your teammate. So unfortunately, not going to be that good for Shenhe, because also the cooldown as well, depending if you use the hold or the press one, it doesn't really matter. It's too long to do your skill again to get while the buff is active. So unfortunately, it does sound like it would be good for Shenhe, but because it activates only when you use her skill, you need the buff before you use the skill. So I don't think it's actually going to be a good option for her, but if someone can correct me on this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. But other than that, I do think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot. And I'll see you all in the next video.